So hello everybody. If you live with ME, CFS, fibromyalgia, long COVID or related conditions and you're experiencing cloudy, fuzzy feelings, feel like you can't think straight at times, then this video is for you. If you do experience brain fog, just let me know in the chat on a scale of 0 to 10, with 10 being a clear head and 0 not being very clear. What number are you on that scale? So I can see a few people are watching, so do feel free to say hello in the chat. Let me know where you are in the world. So, what's your experience of brain fog? You might forget what you're saying mid-sentence, lose words, or feel like your brain's wrapped in cotton wool. I experienced all of those things at times. It can be frustrating and unsettling. But brain fog is not a sign that your brain is broken. It's often a sign that your body and nervous system are under strain and trying to protect you. So in this video, I'm going to explore why brain fog happens, what's really going on in your body, consider some other possible contributing factors to rule out, and most importantly, what you can start to do to start clearing it. Okay, so first thing I want to make clear is that brain fog isn't a disease, it's a symptom. Okay, I think that's really important, so I'll say it again. Brain fog isn't a disease, it's a symptom. It's a sign that your body is conserving energy or diverting resources away from the clever thinking part of the brain. It's like your body saying, let's power down for safety until things get calmer. Okay, this might sound frustrating, but it's actually protective. So quick introduction, if you don't know me, my name's Pimenta. I had ME, CFS and fibromyalgia for around 8-9 years. At one point I could not walk for 1 minute. I was spending a lot of time sleeping and resting in bed, kind of maybe 18 hours plus a day. Okay, and I went from not being able to walk for a minute to going back to work, living my life. Been to 2 festivals this year. That was one of my goals, to get back to going to festivals. And what helped me was learning mind-body tools. I tried lots of things to try and get better, including taking supplements, trying all sorts of different treatments, including acupuncture, colonic irrigation, herbs, Chinese herbs, which stunk the house out. Some things helped to a degree, but nothing really moved the needle until I started learning these mind-body tools. So I now create videos and resources to help you move towards your health goals. So let's dive into it. First of all, I want to talk about the stress response and the hypothalamus. So when we're under stress, whether it's physical, emotional, or even subconscious, the hypothalamus, small region in the brain, goes into overdrive. So quick word about the hypothalamus. It's a powerful part of the brain, and it acts as the body's control center. It's trying to keep things in balance. It regulates things like hormones, temperature, sleep, and your stress response. So when it senses any kind of threat or overload, it can switch your body into fight, flight, or freeze, sending blood and oxygen to your muscles so that you can react quickly in terms of fight, flight. So that's great in the short term, but if it stays on too long, then the brain itself gets less oxygen and energy, because the brain thinks you need to send all that energy to your limbs to run away or fight. And that's when we can start feeling foggy, flat, or wired and tired. Okay, so let me know in the chat, does that make sense to you? Does that kind of relate to your experience? It certainly relates to my experience, and I invite you to consider, what would it be like to just remind yourself, this is what may be going on. So when you aren't thinking clearly, it's not because you're lazy or unmotivated. Your body is prioritizing survival. And once the body feels safe again, blood flow to the brain improves and clarity begins to return. You might notice those periods where you can't think straight, but it might be the case that you don't acknowledge when you are actually thinking straight and clearly again. All right. So let's talk about the blood sugar redirection. In the stress response, your body releases glucose for quick energy, but most of it goes to the muscles so that you can run or fight, leaving less available for the brain. And so that's one reason why you might get foggy after a period of stress, worry, or even excitement. The brain is temporarily underfueled. So simple steps like, and we'll get into these in a little bit more depth, like regular meals, protein with breakfast, gentle nervous system calming, can keep blood sugar levels more stable and support clear thinking. So let's talk about overthinking and mental overload. One thing that's talked about less is how overthinking can impact your cognitive functions. If you've been trying to analyse every symptom, predict every crash, trying to control everything, figure out recovery, your thinking brain is in overdrive. And we know that your brain can use up huge amounts of energy. Okay? The kind of mental effort, this kind of mental effort creates more stress hormones, which again can divert energy away from your higher brain. So when you catch yourself spiraling in thought, pause and ask, what might I be feeling underneath all this thinking? So often the brain fog is the way your body is communicating. You've done enough. It's time to feel and reset. Okay. So next I want to talk about emotional overwhelm and shutdown. Sometimes the brain fog is the mind's version of a circuit breaker. If emotions feel too big or life feels overwhelming, the body protects you by shutting down mental clarity. It's almost like dimming the lights until it feels safe again. Again, it's not failure, it's a safety response. So let's talk about other contributing factors. Before assuming it's only stress related, it's important to consider other things that may add to brain fog. So here's a few areas to consider. Some of these explanations are research based, some of them a bit more speculative, so do your research and speak to your doctor. So the first is gut dysbiosis. So the gut and brain are connected through the gut-brain axis. There are some studies that link gut dysbiosis, which is leaky gut, to brain fog. There are more controversial explanations. So, for example, Candida. I was diagnosed as having Candida by a medical doctor with degrees in nutrition and immunology. But the whole Candida explanation, which is yeast overgrowth, is a bit controversial. Some medical practitioners don't think it's an issue. I was told that if I had Candida, I'd been hospitalised. And that seemed really curious to me because it seems to me that there's a spectrum. You might have mild Candida at one end of the spectrum. You might have really serious Candida at the end. Doesn't make sense to me to only pay attention to it when it's really severe. Okay? And at one point, I looked into Candida. I remember reading a book, I think by Leon Chateau, and everything he said explained the symptoms I was experiencing, and I went on a protocol to reduce Candida. And if you've got things like athlete's foot, I used to get lots of ear infections, itchy ears. I'd often get athlete's foot anytime I ate any sugar, which suggested yeast overgrowth. And I went on a protocol which was very safe. I wasn't taking medication. It was basically through diet, through food. For instance, garlic is I believe, if I remember correctly, it's good for helping with yeast overgrowth. I took some supplements, but they were pretty gentle. And that all of those symptoms reduced. Okay, now my diet just does tend to be pretty healthy. I don't eat much sugar. I'm quite into eating a kind of keto paleo approach, and so even if I have desserts, I tend to use things which don't spike the blood sugar, like maple syrup. Okay, and they're delicious and they're healthy. All right, so that's something to consider. Okay, because the toxins and inflammation, according to that approach, can affect the brain. Okay, so supporting gut health with good nutrition, hydration, stress reduction can really help. I've just been chatting to a nutritionist who is all about gut health, and so I might do an interview with her if she's open to that. The next thing to consider is mold exposure. Mold mycotoxins can trigger inflammation, headaches, cognitive issues. So if your symptoms worsen in certain buildings or rooms, it might be worth considering investigating possible mold exposure. Okay. When I had ME CFS, I was probably more sensitive to mold. Mold isn't great for our health, so if you've got mold in your house, it is very useful to address it. But I do, sometimes there is mold in my house. My bathroom's prone to mold, so I have to spray it and stuff. But it doesn't really affect me to the same degree. Next thing is medication. So some medications may cause drowsiness, mental sluggishness. So if you suspect this, speak to your doctor before changing anything. Okay. The next thing to consider is nutrient deficiencies. So as I understand it, low levels of B12, folate, iron, vitamin D, magnesium, omega-3s can affect mental clarity. There's a simple blood test, and gentle supplementation with professional guidance may help. So the next thing is poor oxygenation or circulation. People with ME, CFS and POTS often have reduced blood flow to the brain. So gentle recumbent movement, leg elevation, breathing exercise can gradually improve this. Next is sleep and circadian rhythm. When sleep is disrupted, the brain doesn't detox properly, and so you can wake up feeling foggy. Let me know in the chat if that's something you can relate to. At one point I did experience insomnia, and of course it affected my cognitive function. Fortunately, I managed to resolve that insomnia, and I have made video on that, so do check out my YouTube channel for the videos where I talk about dealing with insomnia. Okay, but good sleep hygiene, dimming the lights at night, getting daylight in the morning first thing. If you can get outside, just get sunlight, even if it's cloudy. It still adds a lot of that exposure to the light communicates to your brain that it's time to wake up. Okay, so Gandhi says, I've been watching your videos for years. I'm almost completely recovered, but still relapse for short spells if I'm not careful. So great to hear that you've almost completely recovered. Really happy to hear that, and well done. Be very interested to hear more about what's helped you. So do feel free to get in touch to let me know. So thanks for sharing that. That's awesome. So yeah, good sleep hygiene, get all those things in balance. Check out my videos on that. I started reading at bedtime instead of looking at my phone and sleep a lot better. That's really interesting, because someone else was saying that to me, that they were experiencing insomnia, and they found by reading a book with gentle, soft lighting just helped them get to sleep. Okay, isn't that interesting? So thanks for sharing that. That's awesome. So the next thing, viral or immune activation. Sometimes ongoing low-grade inflammation from viral activity like EBV, Epstein-Barr virus or COVID can contribute to brain fog. So reducing overall stress load and supporting your immune system can lessen the effect. So let's just kind of recap on those areas that we've talked about. Number one, we've talked about what brain fog is. Number two, stress response and the hypothalamus. Number three, blood sugar redirection. Number four, overthinking, mental overload. Number five, emotional overwhelm and shutdown. Number six, other contributing factors, which is what I've just been talking about. So now number seven, let's talk about some practical ways that may help clear brain fog. Okay, so the first thing is to calm your nervous system. So I really invite you to collect strategies that help you. It might be slow breathing, putting your hand on your heart and one hand on your belly, just being aware of the movement of your belly as you slowly breathe in and slowly breathe out, making the out breath a little longer than your in breath. So if you like, you could do this now. You could close your eyes just for a moment. Obviously only close your eyes if it's safe to do so. And I invite you to breathe in slowly, noticing the movement of your belly as you breathe in, and noticing your belly moving inwards as you breathe out. Just do that a few times. And as you breathe in, you might just say to yourself, breathing in. As you breathe out, breathing out. So you can carry on doing that as I share the next few strategies. So the next one is gentle humming or singing. This can activate the vagus nerve, which helps us get into the parasympathetic healing state. You can do simple grounding by noticing your senses, what you see as you look around, the sounds that you hear, noticing the physical sensations, the connection between your body and the surfaces touching your body. So I can feel my feet on the floor. I'm standing up at the moment. I can feel my shirt on my skin, my jeans. Okay, so I'm just having that awareness. I can feel the temperature of the air on the skin. So gentle humming or singing. Grounding by noticing your senses. Doing the time out relaxation technique. This is a technique I created because I found that counting sheep wasn't helping me get to sleep. So I created this time out relaxation technique. If you'd like it, comment time out. Okay. Next one, gentle stretching. You may have heard me before talk about the Havening method. There's a video by Paul McKenna where he explains it, but part of it is just stroking your arms, and that can be very soothing. Okay, some people like tapping. It's not something I've trained in, but you know, this can be a useful technique that some people really like. So if you're interested in that, check out videos on tapping. I'll come to your comment in a moment, Candy. So these techniques can help the hypothalamus settle down and restore blood flow to the brain. And we know that the hypothalamus can be overworked because there's more blood flow to the hypothalamus when that's happening. So do what you can to support your body. Stay hydrated. Dehydration worsens fog, brain fog. I was watching a video a while back where I can't remember who it was, but he was a doctor or a neuroscientist, and he was talking about using electrolytes. So you can buy electrolytes. They're the basic sugars, and you just put a tiny amount. It comes with a little spoon, so don't use the little spoon. It's because it's literally a tiny amount. You add that to a litre of water, helps your body hydrate. Okay, so make sure you eat balanced meals with protein, fibre, healthy fats. Some of the people I talk to are not very good at eating regularly, and that can affect your ability for your brain to function. Avoid long gaps between meals, especially if you find your digestive system is compromised. Mine was. Get outside in daylight when you can. So the next is processing your emotions. Instead of pushing emotions away, allow them to move through. If that's uncomfortable, just check in with your body briefly. What am I noticing right now? What sensations am I noticing in my body? What emotions am I noticing? If it's too uncomfortable, you don't have to stay there. But just the more you do that, the better you get at feeling safe to be connected to your body. And this can be really useful. This is something I teach people in the Mind Body Reconnect, how to tune into your body, because your emotional brain is sending signals to let you know that you're not safe or you're not meeting your needs. Okay? Sometimes what clears the fog is not doing more, but is feeling what's being suppressed. And I've worked with many people who've said by going through these steps that I teach them, whoa, I feel energetically very different. I feel more clear-headed, and my energy feels better. My brain focus is lifted. Okay. So sometimes you might need to change what you're doing. If you've been stuck on a screen, if you're noticing your looping thoughts, overthinking, change gears, do something different. Do something sensory or creative. Drawing, music, nature, notice what happens. For me, I love just going out for a walk, especially if I'm feeling a little bit triggered. I remember one time I just decided to rent this flat. It was quite expensive, and I went for a walk in the park. The clouds got very dark, and actually there was thunder and lightning. I literally saw lightning in the park, 100 yards from me, a couple of times. And one time lightning struck, and it was so close I could smell the burning of the trees. But sure, I got completely soaked. There was water in my feet, but boy, did that clear my head. All right, and clear the stress. So change what you're doing. See what happens. After this session, I am going to sit and play the piano for a bit. So part 8. What is your takeaway? Consider what I said earlier. Brain fog isn't your brain failing. It's your body saying, slow down, I need safety and balance. And when you listen, rather than fighting it, resisting it, getting frustrated that you're not thinking straight, when you stop fighting the fog and start getting curious about it, you begin to re-establish your connection between mind and body. And over time, as your system feels safer, the clarity comes back more often and for longer. I can remember sometimes I just feel that I had this fatigue right here. This is supposed to be your pineal gland, and I just felt like there was a golf ball there, and it was heavy, and it really affected my energy of my whole body. I don't experience that very much now. Okay, so let me just go to the comments. Gani says, the main thing that helped me was understanding how my body feels when in fight or flight versus rest and digest. I learned this difference by paying attention while meditating. Amazing. So thanks for sharing that. So let me know, what is your takeaway from what I've shared today? If what I've shared resonates, you might enjoy the Mind Body Reconnect approach. I am at the moment, we're in week 3 of a group course. It's probably too late for anyone to join now, but if you're interested to learn more about the Mind Body Reconnect, I can send a video which explains the approach. And if you think it's something that's useful to you, if it sounds intriguing, you're welcome to have a chat where we just find out whether it is a good fit for you. And maybe you might want to work one-to-one, or you might be interested in doing the next group course. Okay, so through that approach we explore how the mind-body connection works and how we can learn to process emotions, which can have the effect of helping to regulate and calm your nervous system. And that can be useful if you're experiencing conditions like ME, CFS, fibromyalgia, long COVID, and related conditions. So let me know in the chat what you've noticed about your own brain fog and what helps clear it. If you like more tips and suggestions, you're welcome to follow me on TikTok or Instagram. Join my Facebook group. I will add the link below. Comment Facebook below if you want the chat. And dare to dream big dreams. If you've got a topic you'd like me to cover, let me know. Keep going, you've got this. Wishing you great health. Thanks for joining me. Always makes it more interesting. I say I'd love to know what your takeaway is. What is one action you're going to take? It's very interesting watching these videos, but I hope it's not just an interesting exercise. I hope you consider what action you can take. All right. So thanks for joining me. Keep going. You've got this. Wishing you great health. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye for now.